Taking a look at BlackBerry in this video, because earnings is coming out today at 5:30 p.m. Eastern time, so an hour and a half after the trading bell, I'm going to cover the just for today's trading overall, the movement, what I'm expecting on the high side, so what resistance levels will cause BlackBerry issues to pass, and then in terms of support levels as well. So if it does go lower, what levels can you rely on that it won't break in terms of the downside, and hopefully bounce up to the upside. I'm going to cover the movement as well, so it will cover a little bit past today's trading day, and then I'm going to cover a few things about earnings too as well, because I think those are pretty important. I'm going to cover those towards the end of the video, so hopefully you like it, hopefully you enjoy it, and hopefully you find it helpful. So if we go to the downside, I don't think, to be honest, there's going to be much downside because earnings is going to be released. I'm going to cover the downside first, then the upside. But again, I don't think it's going to be much of a concern today for the downside. Now, if you've seen my past video, you've seen that this upward trend support line right here, dating back since October and November of 2020, January 2021, came down also as well on March 2021 and bounced up to the upside as well. So it's same as here. Unfortunately, we did have a false breakouts, a bunch of them, but we are above it right now at the moment. The thing is, though, there's a chance it could break it a little bit. I could see that happening because a couple indications that I'll show, but right now it's going to potentially, because I've checked this is a 3-month moving average, or a 3-month chart, sorry about that, and I checked the 1-month chart, I believe, too, and there is support with this moving average at $13.08. Hopefully, if it does go down to $13.08, it bounces up to the upside, but I wouldn't be surprised if it breaks it. So there is support at the $13 and all that stuff, but after that, there is support between $12.90 range. And then after it breaks at $12.90, there is support between $12.70 to $12.90. So I'm hoping and expecting, to be honest, because earnings is coming out today, most of that support will rely within that level if it does go down. Now, to me, the absolute lowest for today is going to be at the $12.40, $12.50 range. So you can see right here, there is more signs to the left side of the graph, but just to quickly show, you can see right here, 3 times it hit the $12.40, $12.50 range, and it bounced up. So if you look horizontally, came down, bounced off that level, came down, bounced off that level, came down, bounced off that level. If you looked horizontally, pretty much around that range. So that's $12.40, $12.50 range. More specifically, I think it's like $12.45, to be honest, if it were to hit the $12.40 range. But again, anywhere in the $12.40 range is fair game. If it does break that, then you're heading to the $12.15, $12.18. I've mentioned that a bunch of times. That is really good, strong support level. But I don't think that's going to be seen today, but anything's possible, so just keep that in mind. Nobody knows for sure. But essentially the low $12 price point range. Again, I don't think that's going to happen. I think if it were to go down, $12.40, $12.50 range is the absolute lowest for today, trading day. By the way, close at $13.14 as of June 23rd, 2021, and today's June 24th, 2021. And then pre-market is a little bit in the green, but we'll see how it's going. I think just because the patent sale is not going through today, and like the big players pretty much know that if you listen to the annual general meeting, which I'm sure they did. And then in terms of the earnings today, I'm a little bit deviating away from the graph. I'm going to get back to it, but earnings today is going to be a beat, what I'm anticipating, because given how low the estimates are and low estimate BlackBerry gave, but I don't think it's going to be year-over-year beat, unfortunately. It is still possible, though, because the year-over-year to beat is technically a low estimate still, in a way, so that is potential. I'm going to elaborate more a little bit towards the end. Now, in terms of the upside, there's going to be issues passing the 350 range. You could kind of see it right here a little bit, right about here, 340 to 350 range. There was a bunch of times it was causing issues right about here on June 22nd, but it coincides also with this moving average right here. So this moving average right here on 3-month chart is going to cause it issues on the sorry about that, I might have said 2 something, but 1340 to 1350 range. So it's showing 1348, 1346 right here. So that's going to cause issues as well. But I think, so to the upside, if we are moving to the upside, I think towards the end of the day, there's a chance we might spike up to the 1380, 1390 range, more specifically having issues passing 1395, which coincides with this moving average as well. I'm going to show a couple more things too, but this moving average right here could knock us down in the 1390 range. Quick disclaimer before I continue, I'm not a financial advisor, I'm not a professional. Everything I do share with you is just my opinion, it is not advice, so please do your own due diligence and research before buying and selling. And then also you could see right here on June 18th as well, it got knocked down in the 1390 range as well. There are multiple times in the left side of the graph as well, showing there is quite a bit of resistance at the 1390 range. You can see right here as well. But the thing is though, this downward trend resistance line, every time it went up, got knocked down, got knocked down, got knocked down, knocked down, knocked down. It kind of interferes with this downward trend resistance line, so you could probably dismiss it a little bit, but there are multiple points, like even this correlates a little bit, 1390 range right here too. So, and right here too, I'll zoom in. So right about here, so 1390, in my opinion, I think will be the highest for today, if there's enough momentum to carry it. So the thing is though, this technically disregards volume. I'm not accounting for volume. If you account for volume and if it goes crazy, what I mean by volume is like in terms of like Reddit, Wall Street Bets, and all stuff, getting in like crazy in terms of buying and all that stuff, then all these levels could get destroyed in terms of the upside and just run off. But I'm not necessarily anticipating that for today. I would anticipate that for next earnings. I'll elaborate more in a future video why. But right now at the moment, these are the levels. And then the next level after that, because there is a chance, but this level would ultimately stop it, I think, in my opinion, for today. Given that the patent sale is not going through today, that's the reason why, in my opinion, is the $14.20 range. You could see right here about $14.20 something cents. A bunch of times it got knocked down, and then yes, it had a false breakout above it, but then came back down and got knocked down again. Again, technically you could dismiss it because the downward trend resistance line interferes as well, but I just think that specific level, I've seen it in the past as well, cause a little bit of issues. I think just because the 1390 range is going to cause so much issues to begin with, and the low $14 price point is going to cause issue as well, then the 1420 range is just going to basically, it's just going to taper off before the end of the day. That's the only thing. So that's what I'm expecting if it goes to the upside like that. Now, the overall movement in general sense, so if you look at 3-month chart, the MACD line is still in the positive at the moment. Hopefully it curves back up to the upside. This indicates if it's a bearish or bullish movement. At the moment, it is still bullish. It is still optimistic. You can see that green uptick right there. It's a solid green as well. So potentially could reverse, continuing to the upside. Now, if you look at the 1-day chart and the 5-day chart, which shows a better indication, you could see it in the 3-month chart a little bit. It's showing an upward trend support line, and that is a potential it could continue. So hopefully it does. The only issue I have about that, I would have stated in this video, it's just going to go up to the upside, no problem. But the problem is there's just too much resistance, and it's all in the conglomerate of the moving average as well. So you have the moving averages that could act as resistance. You have resistance lines, horizontal resistance lines as well. That's the only reason I'm not thinking potentially just going to fly to go straight up to the upside, especially since the patent sale, in my opinion, is not going to be confirmed today in terms of earnings, given what Chen stated. There's slightly a chance, but I don't want to possibly give that hope, because I think it was pretty clear from what he stated in the annual meeting yesterday. So given all that stuff, I don't think necessarily going to fly, but anything's possible. It could fly, go to the upside. So just keep that in mind. Now for the 5-year chart, by the way, actually, oh wait, one thing in the 1-year chart. So I stated in yesterday's video that it's starting to somewhat slow down, but it doesn't necessarily have to. It could always keep going down, because this line has not fully curved yet, but then the lighter shade of red is a good sign. Again, this indicates if it's a movement is bearish or bullish. So right now, in terms of the 1-year movement, it is bearish still, and it kind of re-solidified the movement, becoming a darker shade of red as well. So back to curving down a little bit. The good thing is though, if you look at the 5-year chart, so this is like the longer movement, it's still a solid green, so that's good. So in terms of 5-year movement, it's still bullish. It's still good. Still above this upward trend support line right here, and it's still it reversed up still at the moment, so that's still good. If earnings is good, then we'll be fine. Now I'm gonna elaborate on earnings. In terms of earnings for today, like I stated, the patent sale, in my opinion, is not going to be going through today, just given what Chen stated. But that's not necessarily a bad thing. It shows in a positive way, that the deal is pretty massive, where it will need this amount of time to close. So the one good way to look at it is how massive of a deal this potentially will be. And I'm anticipating, like I've said in the past videos, that it's going to be the next earnings, most likely, and it looks like it's bearing fruit that it will be next earnings. Now, it is not confirmed it'll be next earnings, but they mentioned in the last earnings that it's going to take 1 to 2 earnings. So hopefully it does. Now, technically, it does not have to be released during the earnings. It could be released in between. The thing is though, it's kind of weird because John Chen stated it's confidential, so that kind of would bear fruit that it would be during earnings since the numbers would show through earnings. But he said stay tuned, so stay tuned means he will keep us updated. So it's like a 50-50 split where it could show up in the next earnings because it's confidential kind of stuff. Because I think it kind of relates to the Facebook and BlackBerry settlement where BlackBerry won against Facebook. So I think it might have to come through earnings, but it doesn't have to 100% since he said stay tuned. So we'll see. In terms of overall today earnings too as well. So this is the main thing. Given how low the estimates are, I'm expecting a beat. So the estimates on the high side is 176 million. The average is 171.25 million if I remember correctly. In my opinion, this will be a beat for sure. The only problem is it has to be year-over-year beat in terms of growth because analysts are going to say it's a year-over-year decline. So the amount is 214 million if you're looking for non-GAAP numbers. But the thing is, the estimates that BlackBerry gave was in GAAP numbers. So in last year's same time frame, same earnings was 206 million if I'm remembering correctly in terms of the GAAP revenue. So in my opinion, that's still relatively low. Now the thing is though, in terms of this earnings, it might be a little bit tricky because the estimates they gave was just last earnings, and I don't think BlackBerry would be that far off in terms of their estimates. So again, like I've stated in the past videos, I'm expecting that BlackBerry's revenues for this quarter will be in the $180 million range, which will beat the 171.25 million street estimates, and then the high side as well, 176 million. The most important is the average, so 171.25 around that ballpark is technically the street estimates. There was one other thing that I had to mention about the earnings, but I forgot at the moment, but I apologize. Hopefully, if I remember, I'll comment down below, but that's basically it for the video. Essentially, I'm expecting a beat. I think it's just mediocre for the most part. Hopefully it is beat. Hopefully they get 220 million. If they report 220 million for the revenue, I think it's going to be good, and it would continue on this upward trajectory, and being on the upward trend support line right here, it'll continue, but we'll see. Stay tuned. I'm going to be posting a recap of the earnings after it gets released, and I'm also going to post on how tomorrow's stock will play because of the earnings after it's released and all that stuff. So stay tuned for those if you're interested in those videos. If you like the video, find it helpful, consider dropping a like. Appreciate it. Thank you so much. If you have any questions, do not hesitate to ask. Try to answer them as soon as possible. And if you like videos like this or other financial videos or other stock videos that I'm going to be posting, consider subscribing so you'll be notified when I do upload those videos. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.